Hello and welcome. I'm Ariana Droz, and you're listening to Reprint, brought to you by Temple News. This is the podcast that gives readers a deeper look into stories from this week's print. It's our first week back to school, and today I'm sitting with Colin Schofield, co-sports editor, to talk about this year's football preview. And later we'll hear from Nathan Horwitz about how legislation has impacted WRTI's funding. But first we have a message from today's sponsor. Graduating soon and want to live near the best bars and restaurants in Philly? At Copper Flats in Fishtown, get a fully amenitized building and ultra-efficient one-bedroom for under $1,500 a month. It's one of the top-rated energy-efficient buildings in America. Schedule your tour at www.copperflatsphl.com and learn about their special offers. So, obviously, with the start of the new school year, we're all looking forward to football season. And you guys did a huge football preview for this edition's print. And so I think one of the main popular topics of conversation surrounding the football preview was Casey Keeler, obviously the new coach. And I think that most of us here at Temple who are rooting for our football team are really excited to see what he does. Do you want to go a little bit deeper into how and why Casey Keeler got here to Temple University, and what do you think he'll do for our team?
Yeah, so for those who don't really know about Casey Keeler, aren't super familiar, he grew up in this area. He played football at the University of Delaware. He started his coaching at Rowan, a D3 school not too far away from here. And so he's been a Northeast guy in the past. And he coached at Delaware in the early 2000s, super successful there before spending a decade at Sam Houston State, where he was again super successful. And then Temple had a head coach opening at the end of last season after their fourth straight 3-9 year. And they gave the call to Casey Keeler, who, if he wanted, was pretty much guaranteed to spend the rest of his career at Sam Houston State. But the opportunity to come back to where he grew up, where he kind of knew in the Northeast, was way too good for him to pass up. So he came back here, and they're bringing in a guy who, as things currently stand in college football, is the second winningest active head coach. He has 271 career wins. He won a national championship with Delaware, national championship with Sam Houston State, won 10 games last year with Sam Houston State, in just their second year in the FBS level, which, for those who do know, incredibly impressive. For those who don't know, that's a major uptick in competition, and in his second year, he won 10 games. That's incredible. And just in terms of what he can do for this team, that's exactly what he can do, is win. That's what Temple hasn't done in a half decade, hasn't truly won really anything in 10 or 12 years. And Casey Keeler's a guy who's coming in who knows how to coach a football team. He has a coaching style. He has a winning pedigree that Temple desperately needs. The players are bought in. That is the most important thing. Every player is already bought in to what he's coaching. You can see it on the practice field. I think you're going to see it in week 1 against UMass on Saturday. And he brings just so much experience, which they didn't have. Former head coach Stan Drayton had no head coaching experience. Casey Keeler brings 32 years of head coaching experience. He is a winner. He's a motivator. He's a culture builder. And he's already starting to build that culture. Just the wins have to follow. And maybe this first year, he doesn't bring them 10 wins and a college football playoff, berth. That's a little too unrealistic. He likes being unrealistic, but that may not happen. What can happen is we're going to see progress right away, I believe, from him. He's going to bring this team progress. They haven't won more than 3 games in 4 years. I predicted in the staff picks for our football preview 5 wins. That would be the most they've gotten since 2019. Okay. So he's a Northeast guy. He's a winner, and he is a great fit for Temple.
Yeah, I think so. And then also just in the way that he's trying to expand the team. Do you want to talk a little bit about how he is bringing in new recruits? I believe he has 26 transfers.
Yeah, he brought in a major transfer class with positions. He brought in a quarterback to compete with the returner Evan Simon and Giovanni McCoy. Still don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback. There's an article on that out as well, but could be either of them. Both might play week 1. He just said that on Monday. Both might play in week 1 to kind of, continue the battle. There's new wide receivers. There's more offensive line depth. There's a whole new secondary. There's a couple new defensive linemen. There's a couple new tight ends. There's new guys at almost every position. And last couple years, the Temple has kind of struggled with injuries. And then when the starters got hurt, the depth behind them was not good enough to maintain the level of production. And so in the offseason, Casey Keeler really harped in on getting more depth. And now they can go, at most spots, probably 3 or 4 players deep because of the transfer additions. And there's some legitimate good players in this transfer class. Running back Jay Ducker is probably going to be the starting running back. And we'll see a boatload of the carries in an offense that's going to be run heavy. Giovanni McCoy, at some point, I believe, will be playing quarterback for them.
Yeah.
And on defense, the secondary with Avery Powell and Jalen Castleberry will also probably be starters. And so in an era of college football where transfers are, so evident and so important because so many players transfer in and out looking for NIL and more opportunity, he brought in a transfer class that not only is really good, but also guys who will fit his culture and what he's trying to build.
Yeah. Do you think that because it's such a high number of transfers, like that kind of speaks to his reputation around college football?
I think it does. I think people see Casey Keeler, they see a winner, and a lot of guys when they come in, when they have talked during media availability, whether that was in the spring or in the fall, and they get asked about Casey Keeler, it goes right to his winning ability, his past, how he's been able to win in the past, and how they want to be a part of that. And I think that's a huge part in getting in some of those players. Jay Ducker, he played at Sam Houston for Casey Keeler. He was the only player to follow Casey to Temple, and one of the main things for him was Casey knows how to win, and how can you deny a winner? And so I imagine that was a major thing for a lot of players who not only came into Temple, but a lot of players who decided to stay after Stan Drayton left, or after Stan Drayton was relieved of his duties, because when a head coach gets fired or your head coach leaves, it's almost second nature that you kind of see what's out there elsewhere, because the guy who recruited you, the guy is gone. But Temple retained a good amount of players from last year, and especially in Evan Simon, and then a lot of guys on the defensive line. I think that really speaks to what Casey Keeler brings and how they're buying into what he's bringing.
Yeah, great. So you mentioned our first game is coming up this weekend. Do you want to talk about your predictions, your hopes, considering also especially the fact that when we have away games, we don't always perform our best as a team?
Yeah, so for those who don't know that are watching, Temple football has not won a road game since 2021. That is a long time for sure. It has been a long drought. They've struggled on the road mightily, and they have a prime opportunity against UMass week 1 to end that. UMass is also not a great football team. They have a new head coach as well. They have new coaching staff. They have a lot of new players too. They are around the same spot as Temple in terms of where they currently stand as a program. So it gives Temple a really good opportunity week 1 to pick up a win, start the season on the right note, get that road streak out of the way in the rearview mirror. It's for the game. It might not be the prettiest game in the world. You might not watch a football game where you're wowed every play. You're gonna see some ugly football, I think, just especially in the first quarter with both teams trying to get adjusted to everything.
Yeah.
But I think it'll come down to the coaching staffs of both sides. And I think Casey Keeler and his coaching staff will be able to outcoach and outmaneuver the UMass coaching staff to a win. I think they pick up a 24-14 win on Saturday to start the year 1-0, which would be huge, and the road streak also would be huge.
Yeah.
And hopefully start off a season where it's a completely new era of Temple football.
Yes, sounds good to me. Thank you, Colin. So, you wrote about WRTI losing about, was it $700,000 because of cutbacks with the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Correct.
And so this is something that not only affects public radio, but also television all around the country. But WRTI is close to home because it's licensed through Temple University. Temple University works with WRTI. Like, students are working and interning there every semester. WRTI is the station that's playing at Cecil B. Moore subway station every day. So we are interacting with WRTI a lot. And so I just wanted to know if you wanted to go deeper about anything that you learned while doing research for this story, or when you were talking to people to write about the story.
So I spoke with General Manager Bill Johnson for this story. He gave me a tour of the station, which was really cool. Some things I learned. What did I learn? Well, I learned that there's a lot of uncertainty. I didn't so much learn that as much have that confirmed that hasn't changed from when it was the shutdown of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was announced. There's a lot of uncertainty, but what was definitely made clear to me is that public service is being prioritized.
Right.
So public service is coming first. So while the cuts will impact them for sure, the expectation is that it won't, at least at the moment or the near future, impact their actual, what they're running and their ability to work with the community.
Yeah, perfect. Which is important because, the North Philly community and a lot of more local communities are depending on public media for news and entertainment and all of that. And do you want to get a little bit more about how into the article you were talking about how the president is justifying these budget cuts through saying the CPB is, and public media in general, is politically biased. But you also talk about how WRTI in particular is not politically biased. Do you want to touch on that a little bit more?
Yeah, well, I think it's a far stretch just in case anyone isn't familiar with WRTI, WRTI just basically 24 hours a day, they're just playing jazz and classical music. That's really it. So it'd be a tough argument to make, to say that that's political, simply playing music. But yeah, so basically WRTI gets funding through CPB, and so Trump was making the claim that CPB is politically biased, and that's not a new claim because CPB also they get money from the federal government, and then they give money to organizations and programming like NPR and PBS, which, sometimes they do go after the president, sometimes they do have, progressive leaning, and they speak on politics. So, but Bill Johnson, he made it clear, he's not even worried about getting into that debate because that has nothing to do with WRTI.
Right.
They're not political, but they get funded through the same sources, stations that are political, and so they've been, some would say, unfairly impacted by the cuts.
Yes. Okay. I think in your article you said that that WRTI is going to be looking more towards public donation to supplement the funding that they're losing. Okay. And that comes through fundraisers, or did they talk to you about that at all?
I did not really delve into where the money comes from, but you can donate through their website.
Okay.
You can donate through their website, and there probably are a lot of other ways that they raise their money, but I think it's 80% of their contributions come from the community.
Okay.
So
that's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot.
So that's why there is not an expectation that that the federal cuts will impact their what they do really, what they're producing.
Yeah.
But it's still a chunk of their budget. It's in 2024 it was about 5.5% of their budget.
That's important to know. Okay. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on, plug in there?
Go Owls.
Go Owls.
And read the Temple News and support public broadcasting.
Yes, support public broadcasting. Perfect. Thank you so much, Nathan.
Sure.